Hello, MotoAmerica fans. It's time for another episode of Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you may even learn something from this unlikely pair and their special guest. The mic is yours, Paul and Sean.
Hello, MotoAmerica fans, and welcome to this latest edition of Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. I am Carruthers.
No, you're not.
Okay, all right. I'm Bice. He's Carruthers. I couldn't fake any of you guys out. I mean, you never see us, so you might kind of think maybe I could change it up, but I guess not. So, all right, I'll be Bice. He's Carruthers. But I do know the guy in the center is our newly crowned 2021 Hono Superbike champion, Mr. Jacob Gagne. Jake, thanks for being on.
Got that right, Sean.
Wow.
You nailed it.
I remember back in the old days, you were at one time Jacob.
No, you
Well,
wasn't.
I was born Jacob.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think anybody's called me that in a long time.
But now that you're a champion, I have to treat you with even more respect,
All
you
right.
know?
Doesn't bother me. That's all right.
Okay,
That's all right.
so we got Jake on here, and you know Jake's still the same Jake he was before he went nuts and won all these races this year. And we need to ask Jake about this because Jake, it doesn't seem like before this season you hadn't won a Superbike race because you won Super Stock 1000. You won a lot of big bike races. I remember you dicing it up in Daytona Sport Bike with Cameron a bunch of times. So it's like hard to believe that at this point in your career, you start in that second race of this season. Here's a win, and you've been on this roll like this. Does it seem weird to you?
It's a little different. You know, it's hard. It was hard to believe. If you would have said that going into the year that we won every one but one, that would have been a shocker. You know, but I mean, in hindsight, you know, we came in every weekend ready to go with an amazing bike, and you know, every weekend I know I've had the bike to win, so I go out there with the mentality that it's my job to go put it up there, you know. And but yeah, it's been a crazy year. We've had a lot of great races. I've got a lot of wins, led a lot of laps, and it's crazy. I kind of put it behind me, and I look forward to the next one each and every time. And but yeah, in hindsight, it's kind of crazy. But.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, everybody in the paddock likes you, and certainly everybody in the Hono Superbike field likes you a lot. I mean, Matthew Skoltz, he loves you. But the fact, I mean, not in that way. He's married. Everything's all good there. And Jake actually has a girlfriend. We'll talk about this later. But anyway, the thing about Jake is he's a well-liked guy, and
Thanks, Sean.
Matthew doesn't get upset about it. But the fact that last year he's like, if it wasn't for Cameron Bobier, I might win a couple of these races. And we thought going into the season, levelest playing field we've ever had. You know,
I thought there'd be like 5 or 6 guys winning 2 races each.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, and
No
I just didn't see it coming. Thanks, man.
None of us did.
It's so funny because almost every time we go to the press conference on the way up there, he apologizes to me for ruining another race. But I always say that's okay.
But seriously, did you know, what did you think approaching going into the season? I mean, I know you ride the bike hard. You know, what happens. I understand you've got that feeling. But it's just, you know, did you think it was going to be harder, or has it been really hard?
Oh, it's been. I mean, it's been tough, of course, you know. But again, like you said, I just go out there and ride as hard as I can every single lap from every single race. But like you guys said, I mean, there's so many guys going into this year. Even at the COTA test, you know, we did our talks, our interviews about it, and there was a lot of guys that could win every single weekend. But we've just been fortunate, you know. The bike's been, like I keep saying, the bike's been super dialed in. We have such a great crew, great team, everything's just gelling. When things are gelling, you don't want it to stop, and it hasn't stopped quite yet. So I'm just kind of riding that wave. And but like I said, this Yamaha has been amazing to ride. I made a lot of improvements on a lot of different sides of things with my riding, with the bike, with the crew, and finally when things start coming together, yeah, it's amazing. But you know, it's kind of crazy. We did have one DNF to start off the year, but other than that, the bike's been flawless. You know, and that just shows you what an amazing crew we got. Every single person and every single part that comes together to put that motorcycle out there, everything's just gelling. And so I'm just thankful that I got such a great crew. And yeah, I just want to keep on doing it. We only got one more round here, and it's pretty wet outside. Looks like we got a nice wet weekend, so that'll definitely switch it up. I'm sure everybody's excited for that, and including me. I'm excited to get out there in the rain. We haven't had rain races in a long time. The MotoAmerica rain curse from long ago has kind of been the opposite. So, but somebody brought it back this weekend. So.
It's funny too when you mention the rain, because it doesn't seem like that long ago we were sitting here and we're thinking, man, it's raining, you know. I would think Jake Gagne might be able to win one of these things finally because it's raining, and you almost did. You made it to about there on the last lap, right?
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. That was, Skoltz was out front. I was chasing him down. That was, I can't remember, was that 2017 or so?
Yeah,
it's been
17.
a while.
Yep.
Yeah, and I threw it away in the last lap, turn 2. I'm sure all the guys were a little bummed about that one, but I had to give it my all, and like I said, a lot of these boys can really ride in the rain, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a little different, going into every weekend. The weather's looked killer, and so it takes away a lot of those little variables. But this weekend, we got lots of little variables running around to mess with us. So, but I'm excited, luckily I think everybody feels, especially the team, a lot less pressure now that we wrapped up that championship. So we're just going to go out there.
It's not even really cut loose.
Yeah, we're going to cut it loose. Just go for it. Try to win some more races, and same thing for everybody else. So.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing. I was talking to Matthew about this, and he's locked up second place in the championship, so he almost has nothing to lose either. So he's going to send it, as you guys like to say. Are you going to send it? I mean, what's your
you young boy?
Do you have a different mentality this weekend, or is it the same?
It's the same. I mean, and I've
been sending it all year.
I send it every lap, every race, all year long. And like I said, the bike's in a good spot. It feels good, so I'm in a comfortable spot where I can send it and. I can get away with little things, and I can, keep on trucking along. But yeah, everybody's gonna be sending it. It's the last race of the year. We got 3 races, and I know everybody wants to win just as bad as I do. So it's gonna be fun.
When you left COTA, the test, I thought you were a little bit different at COTA. It's almost like you realized, like, oh man, like this is gonna work out pretty well. Did you leave there thinking? I think we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I left there, even in preseason testing before COTA, we only tested Button Willow out in California, and compared to the previous year, we made a lot of progress. And, my lap times, my consistency from last year to this year in preseason testing came a long, long way. So I was already fired up going into COTA, and then at COTA, we had a lot of good testing there. We went fast. We focused on doing our job and making sure we could kind of consistently do that pace, focused on a lot of race pace stuff. And so that being said, like it's all just kind of worked out, and but at COTA, I knew there's a lot of guys, anybody can surprise you any weekend, anybody can be there. And I've just had that little bit of a cushion on pace, and that's made my life a little bit easier to avoid any drama in the races. I've been getting good starts. My starts last year were pretty bad, and I messed up some of my races because of my bad starts, but I figured that out. So we'll see what we can do this weekend.
A lot of people not in racing, but the people outside of racing looking in, they don't really understand the importance of a crew. Like they think you can just, the rider's the rider and he can make up for anything. But I think more than anybody at this point, like the crew is so important, and especially that crew chief. And you've really got a good one now, and I think you guys have a good relationship. I'm talking about John Cornwell.
Yeah,
and that's made a big difference too, right?
It's made a huge difference. I mean, I had got to work with John a little bit last year with Olins. He came over to help us out whenever he could, and he always helped us really understand and make great progress. And so, again, everybody on that whole team is all really, really working well together. Everybody's doing their job, like I said. With Mike, with Walker, with Darren on the electronics, with Richard doing what he does, and Corndog as well. Everybody's just doing their job. And it's like the further along that we get in this year, the more wins we rack up, everybody's like making sure, all right, let's make sure we got all our ducks in the line and make sure we have everything dialed in, because anything can happen. It's motorcycle racing. But like you said, some people, I guess from the outside, you wonder what it takes to put all that together. And it takes a lot. These super bikes, they got a lot of cool stuff on them. They got you can make a bunch of little tweaks, and it makes a really big difference. And when everything's in that zone, that it's going to work well at every track. I knew even in the beginning of the year, we could bring this bike anywhere and it would be rock solid, just little adjustments here, little adjustments there. And that's a good feeling.
I have a question. do you rule the roost in that truck? Like, no matter who they keep bringing in, do you make sure you're the man in the front there and like your clothes are where they want to be and you own the most covered space and all that? Or what? Come on.
I got my side of the little rig up there. Josh has got his side. We got plenty of room.
And where were you squeezing the little Tony stuff? You only need a little space.
They put them up top where they load the bikes.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Well, Tony was cool with it. He was all right with it. You know, that guy. Tony's easy, and
He's
Josh
easy,
too.
right?
They're all easy going. They're all good guys, and but yeah, it's funny. We're getting dressed and we see Tony up there crouching. Well, he doesn't have to crouch down as much, but still up there getting dressed and everything. But it works out well. Even like Josh and I and Tony for those weekends, we all getting ready to go, getting dressed up, suited up side by side. But it doesn't change anything. We're all in our zone doing, focus on what we got to focus on.
And you don't have Cameron's smelly socks.
Right. Oh, yeah. His foot spray's still in there. Nobody needs it, though.
Nobody wants to touch it.
What was it like to have 3 guys on the team? Did you like it? And what was it like to add Tony? Did it make it more hectic? Did you feel like it's just another Yamaha out there? I mean, did he likes to tweak things. I know he was talking to Richard a lot. Did he ever try to impart any wisdom on you, or did you try to help him? I mean, tell us about it.
Tony's a great guy, and like I said, I've known him a little over the years, but even this year, those couple races we got together, we got to hang out and talk more than we ever really have. And I've always loved Tony. I've always respected him for what he's done over his career. But we've had a good time together. And but everybody kind of does, they all still kind of do their own thing. And having 3 riders on the team was awesome. I was stoked. It's another Yamaha up there to do work, and another attack Yamaha, especially. Those boys are going good. And but it didn't really change our program. We're thinking forward. I'm thinking about what I got to do in practice and qualifying in the races, and whatever goes on, hopefully behind me, I don't stress about it.
One of the things interesting about you is your talent and penchant with motocross, and the fact that you still train with it, and the fact that you qualified and raced in an outdoor AMA motocross at Salt Lake City at Utah. So you've got that in you. And I think in the past, from what I understand it, you have tended to use the rear brake, maybe to excess sometimes. You still doing that this year?
Yeah, that's been one thing that we're always working on is, of course I'm going to use the rear brake, but there's spots where I don't need to use it. You know what I mean? In the past, I've been used to maybe using it to help with the wheelie or using it on the exit turns and places. It's always, I think with most people, you can look at their data if they're kind of a rear brake guy, and you can tell where they're a little uncomfortable and where there's a little bit of uncomfortable feeling. Me and I think a lot of guys naturally will just give the rear brake a little squeeze, try to bring the bike back to you. But the more I dial my riding in, the more we dial the bike in, the less and less I need to use it. But we're still, every weekend we're still looking at, okay, hey, do you really need to use it here? Do you really need to use it there? Because these bikes, they got fantastic electronics.
Why don't they just take it off?
In case I send it off in the grass, I still want that thing.
Yeah.
They work well in the grass.
They do work well in the grass. So.
One of the things I remember from last year is at Ridge, and it was that one start where it was like, what? You were spinning the rear tire. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, Jim, but I'm just trying to ask you, like, what happened? And what are you not doing now that?
Well, last year I was, and I guess with my motocross background, like I'd always, when the light goes on, I give it find the spot in the clutch so it's ready to go. But I was always having a finger or two on the front brake, so you just to keep from creeping. And that was at Pittsburgh. I remember because I think it was after the race. Kyle Wyman behind me. He's like, dude, I saw you lighting that thing up. There was smoke coming off the tire. You messed up my whole start, whole program. But that was the thing. I was using the front brake to kind of make sure I didn't creep, and this year, these guys are on me. I don't want to see a finger on that front brake on the start. I'm like, all right, I get it. And so I've changed a couple of those little things. And but that's like kind of why that caused issues. And then I'd kind of, if you have the front brake on and I'm trying to go, I could be, even when I'm still at a complete stop, I could still be kind of getting the clutch hot, smoking it a little bit. And that's why I had issues with roasting some clutches last year, which was completely on me. And so I had to figure that one out.
So what happens? You get off the start and then you can't it grabs? What's wrong with the clutch at that point?
Like last year, it gets hot. Yeah, it just gets really hot, and it starts slipping.
Okay.
It starts slipping. Even that happened at. I think I learned my last lesson even at Road Atlanta this year. I think it was the second race, the race that I won. I was on the third row because of the weird rule that they send you to the back, punish you for doing bad in the first race.
Don't look at me. I don't make it.
I'm not looking at anybody. But even at the first race or the second race in Atlanta, after we DNF'd, I was fired up. I wanted to win that thing, and I was on the third row. So I kind of did the same. I kind of slipped the clutch a lot more rather than just letting it out and keeping the RPMs a little lower. I just had the thing scream and trying to get out of the hole. And a couple, even 2-3 laps in, if you start to feel the revs, the clutch starts slipping a little bit. So I had to adjust. Luckily, I knew which way to adjust the clutch to get some free play back in it because it loses some of that free play and binds up. And so, luckily, I figured that one out. But then the clutch kind of came back to me. But that was ever since then. Like I said, I've worked on my starts. I figured out how to get the thing out good and safe and fast, and that was kind of the key for this year.
Sure. It's like a night and day difference. Your starts have been amazing. Do you think? I mean, it's a lot of stuff, but do you think that's been a pretty big factor in what you've done this year?
Totally.
Okay.
And that's kind of been my game this year. If I know I have the pace, so I want to go out there and get a good start. And if I could lead from first turn, that's the ideal situation for me. I don't have problems going out and doing my laps by myself. I prefer a clear track, and if the guys want to come with me, try to hang on, that's what they're gonna do. And but for sure, I've gotten off to a lot of great starts. It's kind of helped me avoid drama, helped me avoid getting in the show that's going on behind me, and I can focus on doing my laps and trying to just get out of there.
I think the fact that they all know that you're beating them in the first 2 laps, I think it causes them a little bit of angst.
Yeah.
And you can tell everybody's rushing everything in the first 2 laps because they if he gets away, we're done.
Yeah.
And then that's when you're seing a bunch of, everybody trying to, they're getting in each other's way, and then you get away anyway. But that seems to be what happens.
And that's what I wanted to avoid, getting off to good starts. I mean, everybody knows, I could be on pole position, but when you got a clear track and out there in first place, if I do something, it's on me at least. Like I only got myself to blame. But
right.
If I got a bunch of guys running up in the inside of me, and that's just the situation. That's the pack. That's racing. There's nothing wrong with that. That's racing. But if I could avoid it, by all means, I'm going to try to avoid it.
Do you miss it a little bit? Like, do you miss like the fact that you're out there by yourself and I know you're ripping off fast laps, so you're plenty busy.
Yeah.
But do you miss like a little bit of combat?
Not really. I'm not here for combat. I'm here to try to win races, go as fast as I can. Of course, we all love a good battle, and like we always talk about after the race. Like maybe it's not the most exciting thing to get out there and try to pull a little gap, but that's my job.
Right.
That's my job, to go out there and try to win races and to avoid anything that's going to make it tougher or harder. So
we know that rule you were talking about where you'd start that we're doing that to you this week.
All right.
There's really no cause for it, but we'll come up with one. But Sean was in charge of that part. And
I'm all about that. Yeah.
You're still here, Sean.
Yeah, jeez. Hey, so I want to ask you, this is something I always remember that Ben Bostrom said, and he said it to a few people, but you formerly raced in World Superbike. So one of the things Ben said when he went from AMA racing to World Superbike is he said, man, I learned really quickly that you have to be on, and you have to, from the word go, you have to be as fast as possible. And it seems like that's your mentality now. I mean, you want to lead all the time. You don't want to get in any dices. You just want to get up there and go crazy. Is that something you had from World Superbike, or have you just always raced that way?
I think it's something I've learned over all the years. And in World Superbike, obviously, I remember going and we'd go out in first practice, and you go out and you see 3 laps into first practice, you see Johnny Ray already down to the freaking lap record pace. And you're like, okay, well, this guy, he's going out with a plan. He's going out knowing what he wants to do. He's not screwing around. He's just going out to try to go fast and get that head start on everybody. And so that's kind of, I learned that over the years. Even in the past, it's like when I first started road racing in Rookies Cup, there's almost no way you're going to get out and pull a lead. It's like sometimes you are just, all right, I'm going to chill here. We got 10 laps to go. I'm going to relax. I'm going to see what this guy's doing. I'm going to see what this guy's doing. I'm going to see where I can make that progress on the last lap. But things change on bigger bikes, especially super bikes. It's like I said, I'm going to try to avoid any of that drama if I can. And And to me, it's fun. I enjoy going out there and doing my laps and ride. You know, it's not a cakewalk. Just because I'm out there and I have a second lead or 2-second lead doesn't mean I'm cruising around. I'm still going. You know,
Right.
and of course, I'm always keeping an eye on my pit board. And if we got to turn up a notch, drop the lap times, I'm always ready to do that too. So it's kind of it's like motorcycle chess or something. I don't play chess, but
I know you're not big on looking back or looking forward.
no.
You like to live in the moment.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
this,
don't look
this
back.
question is
I
going
don't
to
look
piss
back.
you off a little bit. But do you, based on your success you're having now,
Yeah.
is it hard for you to not wish that this was 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Because your whole world could be different. You know, you could be, if this was 3 years ago, next year you're going to Europe.
Yeah. Again, I don't waste my brain power thinking about that stuff.
God, I
You know,
waste too
what
much
if-
of mine.
I
What
know.
What if?
Well,
No.
you know, and I told you before we started this, I told these guys I was going to ask a couple of dumb questions. So get ready. Here's a dumb question. It relates a little bit to this. I know you don't look back, but I've been thinking the Jake Gagne that we have this year, if you were the Jake Gagne this year that put yourself last year against Cameron, would Cameron have won so many races? What you can't even imagine it, right?
I don't know. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And of course, we could look at lap times or look at this and that, but if
And
I
by
had
the
a
way,
second year against Cam on the bike, I'm sure it would definitely be closer than it was last year. We all got smoked last year. I got
Right.
smoked by him every race, every session. So
And by the way, Jake has track records at 5 tracks this year. He's broken the track record at 5 going into this weekend. And I mean, the weather's a little funny, so we don't know what's going to happen here, but it's possible you could do it again. So you have gone faster than Cameron did last year. Of course, if Cameron was back, I don't know. I know it's all speculation. I can't even fit it in my head what that would be like. And that question about World Superbike, I was the same way. I was like, so then here's dumb question number 2 of maybe some more.
No, you don't have time for any more.
You're not about to sit here and announce anything. I get that. But I want to, what are you doing next year?
I don't know. I'm focused on. I got a couple more races here this weekend. That's all I'm thinking about. Yeah, and there was like people send me texts. I don't go on the internet and all that. I don't read all the stuff, but people send me stuff like with this and that from Europe. And
I saw some of
nobody's
that
talked to me. Nobody said anything to me, and I hope to be back here on this Yamaha racing MotoAmerica Superbike. And I mean, of course, I'm open to anything, and if there's a good opportunity, a great opportunity on a motorcycle that I'd love to ride and a team that I'd love to be on, then I'm open to anything. But I'm fortunate that I get to ride a motorcycle, the best motorcycle I've ever had. I'm having more fun racing motorcycles than I ever had. I got a great crew, and it'd be hard to leave that unless, of course I'm always ready for more if the opportunity comes, but it's got to kind of be something
the right
good. But like you said, it's just all speculation, and I don't have enough brain power for speculation.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is another along that. I'm not saying I'm not agreeing with you. I don't have the brain power to even answer that properly or respond. But so this is weird too. But like I keep thinking about you kind of are a Yamaha rider. You rode a Yamaha and Daytona Sport Bike. You won a Super Stock 1000 on an R1, and this R1 is night and day different than that one. Very similar. I mean, can you even remember to compare it?
Obviously there is that was super stock. So there's things that we couldn't have. There was less electronics. There was some, swing arm and just little things, of course. But yeah, it's hard to say. I've never went back and looked at lap times or compared, but it's an R1. And for me, this R1 Superbike has been the best Superbike I've ever ridden. And like you said, I've had I think Yamaha is the only thing I've actually won races on. Besides like in the Rookies Cup days back in the day. But Yamaha's been good to me. They've always had my back, and even on all the Road Race Factory days, we got great support. Keith McCarty and Tom Halverson and Jim Roach and all the guys have always had a great relationship. And I was stoked that they brought me on board last year, and that kind of helped me bring a new wave in.
We're waving. He's waving over there.
We're running out of time.
So you don't have anything more dumb.
You don't have any questions. You only asked me like one question.
Did I only do one?
Sean, this is the guy, man.
I always
pretty much
ask.
owns
Let's
it.
get him a TV show.
I ask too many. I just go crazy.
I had a good one to end with. Oh, here's a good one. So today we announced that MotoAmerica is going to be doing the Daytona 200. Let's say you're back, you sign another deal, you come back with Richard's team to do Superbike. If he built you a badass R6, would you do the Daytona 200?
Yeah, I'm open to anything. You know, I don't. I'm
Damn
gonna keep
answer.
saying that. I know.
All right.
Yeah, I thought I'm glad MotoAmerica brought the 200 back. I'm glad the baggers are going there. You know, it's bike week, right? I think that's going to be a killer situation. And but if Richard lines me up with an R6, I'm sure we'll be out there if those boys want me out there. So.
Works for me.
I'll race anything.
All right, we'll wrap it up here. So listen, this is the final round of the 2021 season. He's wrapped it up. He's happy as can be. He's going to send it. He tells us, we're going to have some interesting weather, which is worth coming and seeing. We hope to see everybody lining those trees out there. And we've got 3 Superbike races this weekend to watch this guy go crazy. So come and watch us. We've got Mini Cup by Motul. They've got an awesome setup over on the side on one of the proving areas. It's like a skid pad that they've got the road course put up on. We've got Build Train Race with 7 women who have custom built their bikes and have been training and racing.
What about those guys that ride in those big cages?
We got the ball of steel
I was
studs.
watching those guys at VIR, and I was scared. I was scary watching.
Yeah, because there's 2 of them. It's like how do
gnarly.
they?
So
Yeah.
gnarly.
So you won't do it?
No,
Okay.
not a chance.
We're gonna look into doing
So
that.
we have
And the
that
Mini
too.
Cup. I love watching those kids, man. It's so fun watching those kids. They go so fast on those bikes.
You would like to have those on.
Oh yeah. I'll be lining the fence over there.
Imagine how
So we
good
should
you'd
get
be
out
if you had those. You'd win some races this year.
there. I just gotta hope those kids don't grow up too fast and start racing me. Because
There you go.
Oh, one other quick thing about Jake. So Jake's won 16 races this year. We have 3 more, and Jake is currently tied with Josh Hayes and with Cameron Bobier, his former teammate, for most Superbike wins in a single season. If he wins 1 or all 3 of the races this weekend, he breaks the record. He has a chance to leave this season with 19 victories in a single
insane.
season. 19 out of 20. Incredible.
Yeah.
So we'll leave you with that deep thought for you guys. So thanks for joining us.
Don't think too hard.